I thought I had the perfect family until that Tuesday when my kids were left stranded at school. My wife's note was like a punch to the gut. I'm in the Bahamas with the girls. Don't try to contact me. 15 years of marriage, 3 children, and she abandoned them without a second thought for a beach vacation. I was devastated, but as I stared at her Instagram post showing her partying with strangers, something inside me hardened. She had no idea what was waiting for her when she returned, tanned and carefree. Sometimes one selfish decision is all it takes to lose everything. My name is Robert Harrison. Rob to my friends. I'm 48 years old, and until last year, I thought I had it all figured out. A beautiful home in the suburbs of Boston, 3 amazing kids, and a wife who I believed was as committed to our family as I was. Boy, was I wrong about that last part. When I met Jennifer at a marketing conference in Chicago 15 years ago, I was immediately drawn to her sharp wit and contagious laugh. She was working for a competing firm, and we spent the whole evening debating marketing strategies while sharing drinks at the hotel bar. By the end of the night, I knew she was special. We dated long distance for a year, racking up frequent flyer miles between Boston and Chicago. When I proposed, Jennifer didn't hesitate. She packed up her life and moved east to be with me. We had a clear understanding from the beginning. I would build my career as a marketing executive, and she would focus on creating a stable home for our future children. I've always wanted to be a full-time mom, she told me back then. My own mother worked 60-hour weeks, and I practically raised myself. I don't want that for our kids. Those words played in my head like a broken record years later. Our first son, Noah, came along a year after we married. He was a challenging baby, colicky and demanding, but Jennifer handled it like a pro. When Jacob followed 3 years later, she seemed to thrive in her role as a mother. And when we welcomed Emma 6 years ago, our family felt complete. I worked hard to give them everything. Climbed the corporate ladder until I landed a director position at Global Brand Marketing. The hours were long, but the payoff was worth it. A 5-bedroom colonial in a top school district, summer vacations in Cape Cod, and enough financial security that Jen never had to worry about money. I made sure she had help around the house, a cleaning service twice a week, and a part-time nanny for the days when she needed a break. I wasn't one of those husbands who expected his wife to do it all while he kicked back after work. I knew raising 3 kids was a full-time job, and I respected her for it. At dinner, I'd listen to her stories about school events and neighborhood drama. On weekends, I coached Jacob's baseball team and attended Emma's dance recitals. I thought we were solid, a team working together to build something lasting. Little did I know that beneath the surface of our seemingly perfect life, my wife was changing, growing restless with the life she once wanted. I didn't see it coming until it was too late. And by the time I realized what was happening, she had already made a decision that would tear our family apart. The first warning came on a Tuesday in April. I was in the middle of a conference call with our European partners when my phone buzzed with Noah's name on the screen. My 15-year-old calling during school hours? Something was wrong. Dad. His voice was tight with uncertainty. Is Mom supposed to be gone today? I stepped away from my laptop, lowering my voice. What do you mean gone? I forgot my history project. I called Mom to bring it, but she's not answering. Emma's dance costume is here too, and she needs it for her recital this afternoon. I checked my watch, 2:30 p.m. I'm sure she's just running errands. Try Mrs. Peterson next door. After hanging up, I texted Jennifer. No response. I called. Straight to voicemail. By 4 p.m., when I still hadn't heard from her, I excused myself from work and drove home. The house was empty, Jennifer's car gone. On the kitchen counter sat Emma's dance costume with a note. Don't forget to take this to Emma by 5 o'clock. I grabbed the costume and Noah's project, then drove to the school like a man on a mission. I made it just as Emma's dance class was lining up for their recital. Her face lit up when she saw me holding her sparkly outfit. Daddy, you remembered. She threw her arms around my waist. Of course I did, princess. I didn't mention that her mother had forgotten. I drove to the high school next, catching Noah just as basketball practice ended. He looked surprised to see me. Thanks, Dad. He took the project, then hesitated. Is everything okay with Mom? Everything's fine, I said with more confidence than I felt. It was nearly 7 p.m. when I heard Jennifer's car pull into the driveway. I was at the kitchen table helping Jacob with math homework while a pot of spaghetti, my go-to dinner when in charge, bubbled on the stove. Jennifer breezed in carrying shopping bags from high-end boutiques. Her hair was freshly styled, her nails a new shade of red. Where were you? I kept my voice level, aware of Jacob at the table. She shrugged. Just needed a day to myself. You wouldn't understand. Emma almost missed her recital. And Noah. They're fine, aren't they? She cut me off, glancing at the pot. Spaghetti again? Really, Rob? After the kids were in bed, I confronted her in our bedroom. You can't just disappear for hours without telling anyone. What if there had been an emergency? Jennifer rolled her eyes. Don't be so dramatic. I'm entitled to some time away from being mom for a few hours. That's not how this works, Jen. We're partners. You can't just. Partners. She laughed bitterly. Is that what we are? Because last time I checked, I was the one stuck at home while you get to be an important executive with business trips and fancy lunches. I stood my ground. That was our agreement. If you want something different now, let's talk about it. But checking out on our kids isn't the answer. She turned away. You don't get it. You never will. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, realizing something fundamental had shifted in our marriage. This wasn't just a bad day. This was the first tremor of an earthquake that would eventually destroy everything we'd built. Memorial Day weekend had always been a big deal in our family. Tradition called for a backyard barbecue with neighbors, colleagues, and the kids' friends. This year was no different. At least that's what I thought. I spent the morning setting up the yard, firing up the grill I'd bought last summer. Noah helped me arrange the tables while Jacob inflated pool toys for the younger kids. Emma fluttered around, placing her homemade decorations on every surface. Where's Mom? Emma asked, holding a bundle of red, white, and blue streamers. Getting ready, princess. But in truth, I had no idea. Jennifer had been distant all week, constantly on her phone with hushed conversations that stopped whenever I entered the room. By noon, guests started arriving. I greeted everyone with a smile and a cold beer, playing the perfect host while scanning the crowd for my wife. Finally, Jennifer emerged from the house, looking stunning in a new sundress I'd never seen before. Throughout the afternoon, I noticed her gravitating toward Melissa, a recently divorced friend who'd moved back to the neighborhood. They huddled in corner conversations, laughing too loudly at private jokes. Whenever I approached, they'd suddenly change the subject. As I was serving up another round of burgers, I overheard Melissa's voice from behind the hedge. Just do it, Jen. Life's too short. Look at me. I've never been happier. But the kids. Jennifer's voice trailed off. The kids will adjust. Rob's a good father. Besides, you've sacrificed enough. I nearly dropped the plate of burgers. My hands were steady, but my heart was pounding. What exactly was my wife planning? Later that night, after the guests had left and the kids were in bed, I found Jennifer sitting on our back porch, scrolling through her phone with a glass of wine beside her. Who were those texts from earlier? I asked, taking a seat across from her. She looked up, surprised. Just Melissa. You two seem deep in conversation today. Anything I should know about? She hesitated. I've been thinking about taking a trip. A family vacation? That'd be great. The kids would love. Not a family trip, Rob. She put her phone down. A girls' trip. With Melissa and some friends. When? Where? I kept my voice level, thinking about what I'd overheard. Bahamas. 2 weeks from now. I took a deep breath. That's not going to work, Jen. The kids have summer activities starting, and Emma's birthday is that weekend. Jennifer's expression hardened. I've already decided. I need this, Rob. I've been trapped in this house for 15 years, catering to everyone else's needs. Trapped. The word hit me like a physical blow. This is our home. Our family. A family you wanted, she snapped. 3 kids wasn't my idea. You were the one who kept pushing for just one more. Now I've spent my best years changing diapers and driving carpools while you built your career. I was stunned. That's not fair. We agreed on this life together. Did we? Or did you just assume I'd be happy as the perfect housewife forever? Well, I'm not. I'm suffocating, Rob. This trip is happening whether you like it or not. I looked at the woman I'd married, trying to recognize her in this stranger's eyes. These are our children we're talking about, not some obligation you can just walk away from. It's 2 weeks, not forever, she said dismissively. You're a big boy. You can handle it. As I walked away, my mind was already formulating a plan. If Jennifer needed a wake-up call, I'd make sure she got one. I wouldn't beg her to stay. That wasn't my style. But I'd be damned if I let her destroy our family without consequences. Thursday started like any other day. I kissed the kids goodbye, reminded Noah about his math test, and headed to the office. There was a major presentation that afternoon, one I'd been preparing for weeks. Our team was pitching a global campaign to our biggest client, and, as marketing director, I was leading the charge. Halfway through the meeting, my phone vibrated. I ignored it. Then it buzzed again, and again. By the fifth call, I excused myself briefly. "Mr. Harrison?" An unfamiliar voice. "This is Ms. Collins from Lakeside Elementary. I'm calling about Emma." My heart raced. "Is she okay?" "She's fine, but dismissal was an hour ago. No one has picked her up." I checked my watch. 4:30 p.m. Her mother was supposed to get her. "Have you tried calling my wife?" "Multiple times, sir." No response. "What about my older sons?" "They might." "Your middle son is still waiting too, sir. Your oldest had basketball practice." I ended the call, marched back into the conference room, and apologized to the client. "Family emergency. My team will continue the presentation." 20 minutes later, I pulled into the school parking lot. Jacob and Emma sat side by side on a bench outside the office, backpacks at their feet. Emma's face lit up when she saw me. Jacob looked relieved, but embarrassed. "Where's Mom?" Emma asked, climbing into the car. "I'm not sure, Princess." I kept my voice calm despite the storm building inside me. "Let's go home and find out." The house was empty when we arrived. I fixed the kids a snack while trying Jennifer's phone repeatedly. Straight to voicemail. I called her friends, including Melissa. No one had seen her. By 7 p.m., Noah returned from practice to find me making dinner, grilled cheese sandwiches and soup, comfort food for a tense evening. "Mom's still not back?" he asked, dropping his gym bag. I handed him plates to set the table. "Not yet." After dinner, I helped Emma with her reading, supervised Jacob's science project, and checked Noah's math homework. The entire time, my mind was racing. Had there been an accident? Should I call hospitals? The police? I was tucking Emma into bed when I heard my phone ping. A text from Jennifer. "Don't wait up." Spending the night at Melissa's. Relief that she was safe quickly gave way to fury. She had abandoned our children without a word. After the kids were asleep, I went downstairs to grab a glass of water and noticed a piece of paper on the kitchen counter that hadn't been there before. A handwritten note in Jennifer's flowing script. "Rob, by the time you read this, I'll be on my way to the Bahamas with Melissa and the girls. I need this break. I've arranged to be gone for a week. I was going to tell you, but I knew you'd try to talk me out of it. It's easier this way. The kids will be fine with you. You've always been the favorite parent anyway. Don't try to contact me. I need this time to clear my head. Jen." I read the note twice, my hands shaking with disbelief. My wife had ditched our 3 kids and flown to the Bahamas for a girls' trip without even a proper goodbye. No discussion, no arrangements for the children's care. Nothing. In that moment, something hardened inside me. This wasn't just a cry for help or a midlife crisis. This was a betrayal of everything I thought we stood for as parents. I folded the note carefully and placed it in my wallet, evidence of what would become the turning point in our marriage. Then I pulled out my laptop and began making lists, childcare arrangements, legal consultations, bank accounts to freeze. If Jennifer thought she could walk away from our family without consequences, she was about to learn otherwise. For the first time in 15 years, I went to bed without saying goodnight to my wife. But unlike her, I slept soundly. I knew exactly what needed to be done. Morning came too quickly. I'd spent half the night making contingency plans, and now I needed to put them into action. First, I called my boss. "Frank, I need to take emergency leave. Family situation." Frank knew me well enough not to ask questions. "Take whatever time you need, Rob. The team can handle the follow-up with yesterday's client." Next, I called the kids' schools to explain the situation, minus the gory details. Then I made breakfast, packed lunches, and got everyone off to school with forced cheerfulness. "Where's Mom?" Emma asked as I combed her hair into pigtails. "She took a trip with Aunt Melissa," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "She'll be back in a week." Noah's eyes met mine over Emma's head. At 15, he understood more than I wished he did. After drop-offs, I headed straight to the office of Patricia Hammond, the most respected family attorney in Boston. Her reputation for being tough, but fair was exactly what I needed. Patricia listened without interruption as I laid out the facts, sliding Jennifer's note across her desk. "This gives us grounds for emergency custody," she said, reading the note. Abandonment is taken very seriously by family courts. I don't want to destroy her, I clarified. I just need to protect my kids. Patricia's expression softened slightly. Mr. Harrison, in my 30 years practicing family law, I've rarely seen a father so concerned with being fair to a wife who's behaved so irresponsibly. But understand this. Courts don't look kindly on parents who abandon their children without arrangements for their care. I left her office with a plan in motion. Patricia would file for temporary emergency custody on grounds of abandonment. I'd document everything. The school calls, Jennifer's note, her absence from our children's lives. Next stop, the bank. I didn't clean out our accounts. That wasn't my style. Instead, I transferred half our savings to a new account in my name only, enough to cover household expenses and the retainer for Patricia. Then I froze our joint credit cards. Jennifer had taken her personal card to the Bahamas, but she'd find her usual spending power severely diminished. My final task was finding childcare. With a week of emergency leave, I could manage the immediate crisis, but I needed a longer-term solution. I called my mother, who lived an hour away. "Mom, I need your help," I said, finally letting some emotion creep into my voice. By evening, arrangements were in place. My mother would stay with us for the next 2 weeks. I'd hired a part-time nanny to help with after-school care. As I tucked Emma into bed that night, she asked the question I'd been dreading. Does Mommy not love us anymore? I sat on the edge of her bed, choosing my words carefully. Your mom loves you very much. She's just going through something right now that has nothing to do with you. Is she coming back? Yes, I said firmly. But no matter what happens with Mom and me, you will always be loved and taken care of. That's a promise. I kissed her forehead, turned out the light, and headed downstairs to prepare for the battle ahead. 5 days into Jennifer's absence, we'd established a rhythm. Mom handled breakfast while I got the kids ready for school. Noah stepped up, helping Jacob with homework and playing with Emma when she got sad about missing her mother. The weekend brought Little League for Jacob and a dance recital for Emma. I attended both, cheering loudly, taking videos to share with family. The kids were resilient, adapting to our new normal faster than I'd expected. Sunday afternoon, while Mom took the kids for ice cream, I sat alone in the quiet house. For the first time in days, I allowed myself to really feel what had happened. The betrayal cut deep, not just of me, but of our children. I scrolled through social media, something I rarely did. Melissa had posted photos from their Bahamas trip. Jennifer lounging by a pool, cocktail in hand, dancing at a club with a man I didn't recognize, laughing on a yacht wearing a bikini and a carefree smile. In none of these pictures did she look like a woman missing her family. She looked liberated. My phone rang. Noah. Dad, Emma's upset. She saw the pictures of Mom on Instagram. My blood ran cold. I'll be right there. I found Emma on a bench outside the ice cream shop, tears streaming down her face. Mommy looks so happy without us, she sobbed as I sat beside her. I pulled her into a hug. Sometimes grown-ups do silly things when they're confused. Is she coming back? Of course she is. But for the first time, I wondered if that was what I wanted. Back home, I received an email from Patricia with a custody filing. The hearing was scheduled for next week. Perfect timing for Jennifer's return. I approved the documents with one click. That evening, Jennifer called. I stepped onto the back porch to take it privately. How are the kids? No hello, no apology. They're managing, I said evenly. Emma saw your beach pictures today. She was pretty upset. Jennifer sighed. I didn't mean for that to happen. What did you mean to happen, Jen? When you abandoned our children without a word. I didn't abandon them. They have you, don't they? Besides, I deserve a break after 15 years of nonstop motherhood. I took a deep breath. A break is a weekend away with proper arrangements made, not disappearing to another country without telling anyone. You're being dramatic as usual. Her voice was dismissive. Look, my card was declined today. Did you do something to our accounts? So that was why she'd really called. Not concerned for her children, but because her spending spree had hit a roadblock. I secured our family finances while you were gone, I said carefully. Since you weren't here to discuss it, you had no right. I had every right. You left our children stranded at school. You disappeared without arrangements for their care. What kind of father would I be if I didn't take steps to protect them? This is exactly why I needed to get away. Your controlling behavior, your self-righteousness. Goodbye, Jennifer. We'll talk when you get back. I ended the call and stood in the backyard, watching the sunset. Inside, I could hear my mother reading Emma a bedtime story, Jacob practicing his saxophone, Noah laughing at something on his phone. They were okay. We were okay. And for the first time, I understood that we might be better off without Jennifer than with her. Monday afternoon, exactly 1 week after she'd vanished, Jennifer's Uber pulled into our driveway. I watched from the kitchen window as she paid the driver and wheeled her designer suitcase to the front door. She was tanned, her hair lighter from the Caribbean sun. She didn't use her key, just rang the doorbell like a visitor. I took a deep breath and opened the door. "Rob." She smiled uncertainly, as if expecting a warm welcome. "Jennifer." I stepped aside to let her in, but didn't return the smile. She glanced around the immaculate house, looking surprised. "Where are the kids?" "Mom took them shopping for school supplies." I closed the door. "We need to talk." "About the credit cards?" I had to borrow money from Melissa to pay for the hotel. It was humiliating. I stared at her, incredulous. "You abandon our children without warning, and you're worried about being humiliated?" Jennifer set her bag down, frowning. "I left a note. I needed that break, Rob, and I don't regret it." "I'm glad to hear it," I said, my voice steady. "Because it's going to cost you." I handed her the manila envelope containing the divorce papers. Her eyes widened as she scanned the first page. "You can't be serious. You're divorcing me because I took one vacation." "I'm divorcing you because you showed me exactly where your priorities lie." I gestured toward the living room. "I think you should sit down." For the next 15 minutes, I calmly explained the steps I'd taken in her absence. The emergency custody filing, the documentation of her abandonment, the financial arrangements. "The hearing is tomorrow morning at 9, I concluded. "You're welcome to attend with your attorney, if you've secured one." Jennifer's face had gone from shock to pale, to flushed with anger. "You planned this whole thing. You wanted me gone so you could take my children." "Your children?" I raised an eyebrow. "The same children you left without a backward glance. The ones who have asked me every day when, or if, you were coming back." "The courts won't let you get away with this," she hissed. "I'm their mother. A title that comes with responsibilities, not just rights." I stood up. "You can stay in the guest room until this is sorted out. I've already moved your things." She jumped to her feet. "This is my house too." "Yes, and these are your children. You don't get to pick and choose the parts of family life you want to participate in." As I walked away, Jennifer called after me. "You'll regret this, Rob. No judge will give full custody to a father." I turned back. Maybe not 20 years ago, but times have changed, and so have I. The family court was smaller than I'd imagined, more institutional than intimidating. Patricia Hammond sat beside me at the plaintiff's table, her gray suit as crisp as her demeanor. Jennifer and her hastily hired attorney, a young woman in a flashy red blazer, sat across the aisle. Judge Eleanor Simmons, a stern-looking woman in her 60s, studied the documents before her with methodical precision. "Let's be clear," she began, peering over her reading glasses. "This is a hearing for temporary emergency custody based on allegations of abandonment. Mr. Harrison, your attorney may present your case." Patricia rose, her voice steady and authoritative. "Your Honor, Mrs. Harrison left the family home for an international vacation without making arrangements for the care of her 3 minor children. We have submitted the note she left, confirming she departed knowingly without childcare arrangements." She presented the evidence methodically. The school's call logs, Jennifer's note, statements from the children's teachers describing the scene when they weren't picked up. "Furthermore," Patricia continued, "during her week-long absence, Mrs. Harrison made exactly one phone call to the family, not to check on her children's welfare, but to complain about financial restrictions." Jennifer shifted uncomfortably in her seat, whispering urgently to her attorney. When it was their turn, Jennifer's lawyer attempted to paint a different picture. Mrs. Harrison took a much-needed mental health break after years of full-time childcare. She knew the children's father was available and capable. Was Mr. Harrison informed he would be solely responsible for the children during this time? Judge Simmons asked pointedly. "Well, not explicitly, but—" "And were arrangements made for the children's transportation from school?" Mrs. Harrison assumed. Judge Simmons cut her off with a raised hand. "Facts, counselor, not assumptions." The judge turned to Jennifer directly. "Mrs. Harrison, did you inform any school officials that you would be unavailable for pickup duties?" Jennifer's voice was small. "No, Your Honor." Did you make any childcare arrangements before your departure? No, but Rob is their father. He should be able to. That's enough. The judge's tone was final. After a brief recess, Judge Simmons returned with her decision. Based on the evidence presented, I find that Mrs. Harrison's actions constitute temporary abandonment of her parental responsibilities. Therefore, I am granting temporary full custody to Mr. Harrison, with Mrs. Harrison permitted supervised visitation twice weekly. The gavel came down with a decisive thud. Outside the courtroom, Jennifer confronted me, her voice shaking. Happy now? You've taken my children. I kept my voice low. I didn't take them, Jen. You left them, literally and figuratively. This isn't fair. One mistake shouldn't cost me everything. Patricia interjected smoothly. Mrs. Harrison, I suggest you speak with your attorney about compliance with a court order. Any violations could jeopardize your visitation rights. As they walked away, Patricia turned to me. That went as well as we could hope. But brace yourself. The full divorce proceedings will be much more contentious. I nodded, feeling no satisfaction, only resolve. This wasn't about winning or punishing Jennifer. It was about protecting my children from further harm, from the uncertainty of a mother who could walk away without a backward glance. 3 months passed in a blur of lawyers' meetings, court appearances, and adjusting to our new reality. Jennifer moved into a small apartment downtown, seeing the kids twice weekly under my mother's supervision. I had reduced my work hours to 4 days a week, prioritizing family time over career advancement. The divorce proceedings dragged on, with Jennifer fighting for joint custody and substantial alimony. Her social media posts painted her as a victim, a mother cruelly separated from her children because of one mistake. Her friends rallied around her, sending me nasty messages and glaring when we crossed paths at school events. But the children were thriving. Emma's nightmares had stopped. Jacob's grades improved. Noah seemed less anxious, stepping confidently into his role as big brother without feeling the need to parent his siblings. One rainy Saturday, as we played board games in the living room, the doorbell rang. Jennifer stood on the porch, mascara streaking down her face. Can we talk? She asked, her voice breaking. Alone. I sent the kids upstairs and led her to the kitchen. I lost my job, she said, dropping into a chair. The property management company downsized. I'm sorry to hear that. I kept my voice neutral. My landlord's raising the rent. I can't afford it anymore. She looked up, eyes pleading. Rob, I've been thinking. This whole thing has gone too far. We should try again for the kids. I studied her face, searching for genuine remorse, but finding only desperation. Jennifer, what exactly are you sorry for? She blinked. What? In all these months, you've never once apologized for abandoning the children. You've blamed me, the courts, even them for not understanding your need for freedom. You fought the custody arrangement, but never acknowledged why it exists. I made a mistake. How many times do I have to say it? It wasn't just the Bahamas trip, Jen. It was the months before, when you started checking out on us. It was your reaction afterward, focusing on the financial consequences to you rather than the emotional impact on our children. She slumped in her chair. So what now? You've won. I've lost everything. This isn't about winning. I leaned forward. It's about what's best for Noah, Jacob, and Emma. They need stability and reliability, 2 things you haven't provided. So you won't take me back? No, Jen. That chapter is closed. I stood up. But I'll have Patricia contact your lawyer about adjusting the support payments temporarily while you find another job. Her face hardened. You're going to regret this, Rob. One day the kids will see who you really are. As she stormed out, I realized she still didn't get it. This had never been about me versus her. It had always been about our children's well-being, something Jennifer had yet to prioritize over her own needs. A year to the day after Jennifer flew to the Bahamas, I stood in our backyard watching Noah teach Emma how to improve her softball swing. Jacob sat nearby, calling out occasionally when he looked up from his book. The scene filled me with a contentment I hadn't felt in years. So much had changed. The divorce was finalized 6 months ago, granting me primary custody, with Jennifer receiving standard visitation, no longer supervised, once she'd completed parenting classes. I'd been promoted to executive vice president at Global Brand, with flexible hours that allowed me to prioritize my family. The house phone rang. Emma had insisted we keep a landline for emergencies, and Jacob ran to answer it. Dad, it's Mom. She wants to know if she can take us for ice cream. Today wasn't her scheduled day, but I nodded. If you all want to go, it's fine with me. Jennifer arrived 30 minutes later. She looked different. Her designer clothes replaced by simple jeans and a sweater. Her hair its natural brown again. The kids greeted her with hugs before piling in her modest sedan, a far cry from the luxury SUV she'd once insisted she needed. Thanks for being flexible, she said, lingering by the car. I know it's not my weekend. They're your kids too, Jen. That hasn't changed. A small smile crossed her face. You're a good man, Rob. Better than I deserved. After they drove off, I sat on the porch thinking about the tumultuous year behind us. The divorce had forced Jennifer to grow up in ways our marriage never had. Without my income to rely on, she'd found a job in retail, then worked her way up to assistant manager. She'd downsized her lifestyle, traded in her luxury car, moved to a modest apartment. Most importantly, she'd finally started putting the kids first. Her transformation hadn't happened overnight, and there had been setbacks along the way. But gradually, she'd become the mother our children deserved, reliable, present, focused on their needs rather than her own. As for me, I'd learned valuable lessons too. I discovered my own strength as a single father, finding joy in the everyday moments with my children that I'd sometimes missed while building my career. I'd created a support network of friends, family, and neighbors who helped when needed. Dating? That could wait. For now, my focus remained on Noah, Jacob, and Emma. They'd been through enough change for 1 year. When the kids returned from their outing with Jennifer, they were laughing, carrying on about some joke their mother had told. Dad, can Mom come to my recital next week? Emma asked, her eyes hopeful. Of course. She wouldn't miss it. Later that night, after tucking Emma in, I found Noah sitting on the back porch. You okay, son? I asked, joining him. Yeah. He hesitated. Dad, do you ever regret how things turn out with Mom? I considered his question carefully. I regret that your mother had to leave for us to find our way to where we are now. But I don't regret standing up for what was best for you three. Noah nodded thoughtfully. I'm glad you did. As I looked up at the stars, I felt at peace with the choices I'd made. Jennifer's impulsive decision to ditch our kids for a Bahamas trip had shattered our family. But from those pieces, we'd built something stronger, a family bound not by obligation, but by love, respect, and unwavering commitment. Sometimes, the end of one journey is simply the beginning of a better one.
Bye.